Hello, and welcome back to the Inner Compass podcast. I'm Laurie Lynnsee, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Today's episode explores a topic that sits right at the intersection of science and spirituality, worlds that are often presented as opposites, but in many ways are beginning to meet. Today we're talking about intuition. Is intuition simply our brain recognizing patterns before we consciously are aware of them? Is it our nervous system gathering information beneath the surface? Is it guidance from our higher self, spirit, or divine wisdom? Or could all of these things be working together? For centuries, spiritual traditions have taught us that we each possess an inner knowing. More recently, neuroscience, psychology, and physiology have begun asking many of the same questions through research. Today, I'd like to explore both perspectives, not to convince you of what to believe, but to invite you into curiosity. Because whether your approach to intuition is through science, spirituality, or somewhere in between, I believe one thing is true. We were all designed with an inner compass. Have you ever received a phone call and knew who it was before it rang? Or walked into a room and immediately felt an energy shift? Met someone and instantly trusted them? Or met somebody and instantly knew it wasn't right? Did you ever ignore a gut feeling and then later wish you hadn't? Most of us have. The question isn't whether intuition exists. The question is, what is exactly happening? Scientists generally describe intuition as rapidly unconscious pattern recognition. That's a mouthful. Our brains and body process an extraordinary amount of information every second, far more than our conscious mind can keep up with. Your nervous system notices facial expressions, voice tone, body language, posture, environmental changes, memories, and countless tiny details. Your conscious mind may never notice them, but your body does. Psychologist Dr. Nanili Ambani spent years researching what she calls the thin slicing. She found that people could make surprisingly accurate judgments about others after observing them for only a few seconds. Our unconscious mind is gathering information all the time. Sometimes intuition may simply be that unconscious wisdom rising into awareness. One of the most fascinating discoveries in neuroscience is that communication doesn't only travel from your brain into your body. Much of it travels from your body back up to your brain. And this happens through the vagus nerve. Neuroscientist Dr. Stephen Porges, creator of the Polyvagal Theory, has transformed our understanding of how the nervous system responds to safety and danger. While he wasn't studying intuition specifically, his work helps explain why it's often difficult to hear inner wisdom when we're living in survival mode. If our nervous system believes we're unsafe, our attention naturally shifts towards protection instead of perception. That's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about nervous system regulation. The safer the body feels, the easier it is to recognize our own inner voice. Another researcher I find fascinating is Dr. Michael Gershom, and he's the author of The Second Brain. His work shows that our digestive system contains hundreds of millions of neurons communicating continuously with the brain. Maybe that's why we say, I had a gut feeling, or my stomach dropped, I felt butterflies. Those aren't just expressions. Your body is constantly communicating information long before your conscious mind can catch up. One of my favorite studies comes from neurologist Dr. Antonio Damaso and his colleagues. They developed what is known as the Iowa Gambling Task. Yes, the Iowa Gambling Task. Participants were asked to choose cards from different decks. Interestingly, Their bodies began responding to risky choices before they consciously understood which decks were dangerous. Their palms became slightly sweaty, measured through skin conduction, even though they couldn't yet explain why. Dr. Damaso called these physical responses somatic markers. In other words, sometimes the body recognizes something before the mind can explain it. As someone who teaches nervous system awareness, I find this incredibly fascinating. Now let's shift our perspective. Science says what mechanisms are involved. Spirituality asks, what is the deeper meaning? As a medium and a spiritual teacher, I've experienced moments that science alone doesn't fully explain things for me. I've shared before that there was a period when I was driving along a road near my home, and for brief moments, everything around me seemed unfamiliar. It happened enough that I became concerned. I contacted my neuromuscular specialist. I underwent neurological testing. I had an MRI, and everything came back normal. Later, my energy healer offered another perspective, that perhaps I was experiencing shifts in awareness, as she describes them as energetic portals. Now, you don't have to agree with that explanation. What matters to me is remaining curious. Sometimes science offers one piece of the puzzle. Sometimes spirituality offers another. I don't believe we have to choose between them. Many spiritual teachers describe intuition as showing up in different ways. Some people simply know. Others hear. Some receive images. Others feel everything through their body. In my teaching, I often introduce people to what are known as the clairs. There's claircognizance, which is clear knowing, clairaudience, which is clear hearing, clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, and clairsentient, which is clear feeling. Learning to trust yourself often begins by discovering how your intuition naturally communicates. One organization that has become deeply influential in my understanding is HeartMath Institute. HeartMath Institute. For more than 3 decades, researchers, including Dr. Roland McCready, have studied heart rate variability, heart-brain communication, emotional regulation, resilience, and heart coherence. Some of their research suggests that our psychological responses may occur before we become consciously aware of them. While some of HeartMath's broader interpretations remain the subject of scientific discussion, their work on heart rate variability and emotional regulation have been widely influential and continue to inspire researchers, healthcare professionals, and educators around the world. In many ways, HeartMath represents a beautiful bridge between science and spirituality. And I have a little teaser for you. The entire month of July, across my podcasts, Meditation Monday, True North Tuesday, and the newsletter, it will all be devoted to HeartMath. We will explore heart coherence, emotional regulation, resilience, intuition, and practical exercises that can help us strengthen the connection between your heart, your nervous system, and your inner wisdom. So today's episode is really the beginning of a much larger conversation. The beautiful thing about intuition is that it isn't reserved for a gifted few. It's something we all cultivate. Slow down, spend time in silence, journal, meditate, walk in nature, pay attention to your body. Notice when something feels expansive rather than contractive. And perhaps more importantly, create safety within your nervous system. Because when your body feels safe, your intuition becomes much easier to hear. Whether you believe intuition comes from the subconscious pattern recognition, or your nervous system, your higher self or spirit, or perhaps all of these things working together, one thing seems increasingly clear. There is wisdom within you. The more we learn about the brain, the heart, the nervous system, and consciousness, the more science seems to affirm something spiritual traditions have been saying for thousands of years. We are designed with an inner guidance system. Maybe intuition isn't about predicting the future. Maybe it's about remembering the wisdom that has always lived within you. So if today's conversation sparked your curiosity, here are a few researchers and authors which I would encourage you to explore. Now, I'm probably going to stumble all over some of these names, like I have in this podcast. But here they are. I've already talked about Dr. Stephen Porges, Polyvagal Theory and the Nervous System. And then we have Deb Dana, Practical Nervous System Regulation. Then there's Dr. Antonio Damasio, Somatic Markers and Decision Making. We have Michael Gershwin, The Second Brain. We have Dr. Nalini Ambani, and that's the thin slicing and unconscious perceptions. There's also Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett, Predictive Brain and Emotion. We have Dr. Roland McCready, and he's from the HeartMath Institute. You're going to hear his name several times in the month of July through all of my content. And then we have Dr. Candace Pert, Molecules of Emotions and the Connections Between Emotion, Brain, and the Body. Before we close today, I want to thank you for spending some time with me. If this conversation resonated with you and you're ready to begin to trust yourself, I'd love to continue the journey with you. I'm Laurie Lynnsee, author, spiritual teacher, and intuitive guide, and I help midlife women reconnect with themselves so they can trust their intuition, regulate their central nervous system, and live from an inner wisdom instead of fear, people-pleasing, and self-doubt. You can find my resources all in one place, and that's at the Inner Compass Library, and that's at www.laurielynnsee.com. You can sign up for my newsletter there. You can watch other podcasts. You can sign up for Meditation Monday. You can find out what's going on at True North Tuesday, which is a live I do every Tuesday around the noon hour on Facebook and YouTube. And we have live conversations. I also offer online courses and opportunities to work one-on-one with me in a mentorship. You can always connect with me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And it's Laurie Lynnsee on all those sites. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'm so grateful if you would subscribe or follow, leave a review, or share it with someone who may need to hear today's message. You can also support my podcast at www.buymeacoffee.com/Laurie Lynnsee. Every share helps this community continue to grow and help more women discover that they already carry the wisdom inside of them that they are searching for. Until next time, take a deep breath, trust yourself, and keep following your inner compass. I'm Laurie Lynnsee, and I'll see you in the next episode. Awaken, remember, rise.